A lovely little white wine from Sicily called Cello. The grape variety is Catarato, and it is slightly cloudy, which means that it hasn't been filtered, hasn't been fined. Quite often producers don't filter and don't fine because they want to leave more of the flavour and the characteristics in the wine. If you strip out, filter and fine, you end up with a lesser product than it was before. It's lovely stuff.
This is Chardoisie. It's a Sauvignon Blanc from Touraine in Loire. It's kind of in the mark between your very typical cool climate Sauvignon Blancs and a Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc with that lots of passion fruit, tropical fruits. So it's got the fruitiness that will suit the Marlborough drinkers, but it also suits those really nice cool climate Sauvignon Blancs as well. It's got a nice bit of acidity in there as well. Really drinkable.
Force majeure. This is Chenin Blanc, 100% Chenin Blanc, produced by a little guy, fuzzy-haired guy called Stumpy. Well, that's his nickname. He's actually called Johan, and he produces arguably some of the best Chenin Blanc from South Africa. So it's produced in Swartland, in South Africa, and it's not all about lots of fruit. Johan produces wines which are all about earth, minerality, and trying to get a sense of place for where the wine's being produced. So it's got earthy mineral characteristics, but got lots of kind of fruity, soft kind of fruity melon and pineapple kind of flavours as well. It's a lovely drop.
This is a Verdeo. It's from central Spain, from Rueda here. Really lovely example. It's kind of like a Loire Sauvignon Blanc, but a bit more acidity to it as well. So it works wonderfully with your really like fish dishes, trout, fantastic with. This particular wine, it's got loads of fruit flavour with it. It's really drinkable. Kind of if you want a little bit of a change from your typical Sauvignon Blancs.
Scuttlehole Chardonnay from Long Island. Have you ever tried a wine from Long Island? I haven't. Well, actually, I have. But most people probably haven't. Tastes a bit like a Chablis, but better. Tastes a little bit like a Meursault or quite like a posh Puligny Montrachet. It's going to sit at the top end of the whites by the glass, so quite expensive, but very versatile, very intense, and I think everybody's going to love it.
This is Monologo Arinto. It's P24, which is the name of the vineyard that they get it from. Arinto is a really lovely grape. This is from Vinho Verde in Portugal. So it's nice and acidic, but it's also got a nice flowery floral flavour to it as well. It goes great with food, lots of fish dishes work with this. Maybe your crab, shellfish as well. Really nice, something different as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful Malbec, this one's called. Produced by a guy called Alfredo Merlot, which is quite odd because he only actually makes Malbec. His wine is called Mal, M-A-A-L, which stands for Malbec, as Alfredo likes. This one has had no oak. Most Malbec is produced with oak, which gives a spicy kind of flavour. This has none. The reason why he hasn't added any oak is because he thinks the fruit is so good, it doesn't need any added kind of oak or any makeup on top. Really intense, very soft, very lush, and if you've got a steak, this is crying out for it.
It's a Gamay from Beaujolais by the Lafayette family. We already stock their Morgon, which is their premium version. This is their really house wine version. It's fantastic. 80% is from the Morgon. The rest is just fantastic fruit from Beaujolais. Lovely fruity, bubblegum driven wine. It's called Wine of the Gauls, which just relates back to the old French style of making wine. Really drinkable stuff, this one. Really goes with duck and game.
This is your baby Chateauneuf de Pape. It's not a Chateauneuf de Pape, it's a Côte de Rhône, which is basically the larger growing area around the very kind of established, expensive Chateauneuf de Pape. So it's kind of like a little kind of baby brother Chateauneuf de Pape, produced with Merlot, Syrah, Grenache, and loads of other kind of crazy grape varieties from the south of France. It tastes fantastic. It's one of the cheapest ones on by the glass. This is a red, by the way, I should say. And it's got lovely what are called garrigue flavours. Now, garrigue is rosemary, thyme. What's the other one, James? I don't know. Another herb, which you quite often get in the south of France. It's got a slightly kind of rustic edge to it, a little bit of savoury kind of character. If you've got any game on the flight or the taster menu, then it's perfect, really kind of easy match.
This is Gran Cerdo. It's from Rioja in Spain. It's a really lovely, fruity red wine. Gran Cerdo is for Big Pig, which is harks back to the wine owners. He went to the banks and couldn't get a loan off them because they said winemaking isn't a viable, profitable business. So he went to family and friends, got the money off them, and this is sort of his middle finger up to the banks. It's a really lovely fruity red wine compared to a Rioja, which usually has lots of oak and lots of flavour. This one is really nice plum fruits, raspberries in there as well. It's a really nice contrast to your typical Riojas.
Any food recommendations?
I'd recommend this with a really nice bit of lamb.
Pepe Le Pinot. This is Pinot Noir. That's the name of the grape variety. Produced in the Yarra Valley in southeast Australia, called Jamshed. Quite a weird name. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's very lush, very soft, very light, but lots of kind of intense, concentrated fruit. Extremely versatile. We'll go with lots of different sorts of red meat and poultry. Again, unfiltered, unfined, hasn't been mucked around with. It's a real sort of true sense of what Pinot Noir should be.